What is a black market? In this video, I'm going to explain what truly is a black market. If you'd like to know, black markets are, from the government standpoint, illegal capitalism. From the market standpoint, merely non-government regulated capitalism. If you want to know what capitalism is, I did a video explaining what that concept is here. Click on it, please. This video is merely about what is a black market. It is commonly derided by governments, especially tax agencies, socialists, communists, etc. But a black market is simply capitalism without government regulation. It's usually caused because something is outlawed by government, but there are still people who want to buy that product or service. Then other people are willing to risk government persecution, government arrest, government prison time to provide that product or service to the public. This has been going on pretty much forever. And socialist countries can't operate without a black market. The Soviet Union couldn't operate without a black market. Right now, North Korea cannot operate without a black market. In North Korea right now, they went through a starvation, a famine, but it was a government-caused famine. And it killed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. We may never know the true total until that government collapses and we gain access to government records, saying those government records aren't destroyed before then. But right now, the way North Korea is able to feed itself is by turning a blind eye to the black market that sells food. That's how the majority of people get their food in North Korea. Ever so often there's a show, they come down and they arrest some of the people to try to show that this is truly unregulated. But more and more they just turn a blind eye because their quasi-socialistic system can't produce. I'll do a video of what is communism, and I'll do it today. Here's a link to it. The black market in the United States is anything that's outlawed by the government that the public wants to have. Here in America, that's like marijuana, any of the quote-unquote illegal drugs. By the way, all illegal drugs were once legal. There's just government came along and outlawed them for the public good. But as history has shown with the Prohibition Amendment, with the war on drugs, this causes even worse problems almost immediately. Not like down the line, eventually things go bad. No, immediately. Because there are criminal elements, people who are willing to operate outside of government regulation, who provide these services. And because it's illegal, because they're being persecuted by the government, because they don't have competition as in a legalized form of capitalism they would have, the prices go up. Because they are illegal, they have to solve their own problems. And during the Prohibition era, gangs would literally do drive-by shootings of each other. They would blow up each other's speakeasies. Those are illegal, semi-secret taverns. And the reason why they were doing that is because that's how you dealt with the competition when you couldn't deal with them openly. Once you turn over a product or service over to the black market, there's no appeal court. The providers of those products or services can't go to the police and saying, hey, they robbed me. Hey, They abuse me. They beat me up because what they are doing themselves is illegal. This happens all the time with prostitutes. Is why they're such a target for, say, serial killers, for people who beat up women, is because they can't turn to the police for help. They have to get pimps and other organized elements to provide them protection. But that protection comes at an unbelievable high cost. This is not like the McDonald's chain that takes 12.5% of your gross revenue. Pimps commonly take 90% or more. Some take 100%, and because they're charging you for the room that they provide you, the meals that they provide you, the gifts that they give you. But once a product or service is made legal, a lot of the crime ceases to exist as far as that product or service is involved. We also see this when the Prohibition Amendment was repealed. Breweries came back into existence, and the drive-by shooting stopped. You don't hear Miller doing a drive-by shooting of Pabst. You don't see Hooters blowing up a restaurant unit, TGIF Fridays, because they serve alcohol. You have the courts. They can operate out in the open. They can turn to the police for protection, for the courts, for adjudication. They can take their competitors to civil court over the infringement on their rights and their copyrights. But that's not possible in the black market. Now, governments condemn a black market, but they are literally the ones that created the black market. Everything that they outlaw, the criminal class will pretty much provide. Now, there are some things that we'll probably never allow. Killing people for hire, for one example. Kidnapping, and thus ransom, arson, that type of stuff. But for the crime element, they make unbelievably far more money from illegal drugs than they do from any other criminal activity. And I think second to that is prostitution, another illegal activity. Don't believe when any pro-government person or any government bureaucrat talks disparagingly about the black market, or the media talks disparagingly about the black market. It is merely an unregulated marketplace. That's all the black market is. Because the problems in the black market largely become because they can't have a legal recourse if something bad happens to them. If a competitor comes in and blows up their tavern, they can't turn to the police and say, they blew up my tavern. Go get them. Their only choice is to retaliate by going and blowing up one of their taverns, probably more than one, to try to prevent them from doing it to them. And this creates a downward spiral, especially if they got who they thought did it wrong. Now they want revenge, and then they go and they attack. This is where you have women who are being almost like sex slaves for their pimps because they don't have a legal recourse. They don't have a way to legally make this money. But also, black markets can be created when there is a legal product, when government overtaxes it. You see this along the Canadian border, where when something is too heavily taxed on one side of the border, people come across the border to get the more lightly taxed item and then bring it back. A lot of times not smuggling it, unless they have too many of them, but just bringing them back because it's cheaper that way. That creates a black market itself. There have been numerous cases where organized crime has bought cheap cigarettes from one location, shipped them into a more high tax location, and then sold them to the public at what the public views as a discount, but really it's just without taxation. This is a form of a black market. And the more the government taxes, the more they would generate this type of a black market. But there's nothing wrong with a black market. Really, there's nothing wrong with it. If people are willing to voluntarily exchange for whatever is quote-unquote illegal, that stuff shouldn't be illegal. Prostitution should not be illegal between two consenting adults. Arguments can be made about child prostitution, etc., and then then becomes a whole question: when does a young person have control over their own body and can make decisions for it? Sadly, in our society, we are extending adolescence further and further and further. Is essentially moving to the age of 21. It would not surprise me eventually that we might even remove the ability for 18, 19, 20-year-olds to vote. With the argument being, well, if they're not mature enough to drink alcohol, to have a credit card, why are we allowing them to decide who's going to be our political leaders? Of course, then there's also the question about draft age, combat age, that may prevent that from happening. You need the young who believe that they're immortal to go off to war. Anyways, in a nutshell, the black market is merely non-government regulated capitalism with no private property rights, because there's no way for them to go and get it adjudicated by a court saying this is my property, because the courts will view that as illegal gains, illegal property. So that's where the problem comes about. A libertarian says we should eliminate black markets, but the way libertarians want to eliminate black markets is by not police action, but by decriminalizing the majority of these activities that are done in the black market. The more you decriminalize, the smaller the black market becomes. Anyways, that's what a black market is. Now, if this is the first time you've seen one of my videos, I produce them as news happens, and some days I produce more than one video. Today I'm producing 5. Not that I'm release all 5 today, but I'll I think at least 2 today. If you'd like to be alerted when a new video has been released, when subscribing to my channel, to the left of that subscribe button is a bell icon. Click on it and then pick between the 2 forms of notification you'd like to have. Also, when my mailing list gets to at least 100 subscribers, I'm going to start producing a weekly unlisted video where I reply to selected comments posted to last week's batch of public videos. If you'd like to see these reply to comment videos, in the description below there's a link to the mailing list sign up form. Please subscribe. Okay? Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.